Research shows you that the 6 people that you are closest to have the greatest influence on what you go on to do. So if you ever acquire a new friend, acquaintance that you spend a lot of time with, the first thing you'll notice is that you start to use a new word. And that's come from the fact that you are now spending time with that new person in your world. So our wealth acquisition comes from the friends, the family, the people around us. It is cultural. It is part of our fabric of a society of how we actually come to be. And that means that what we do is we share how we did it. Others then mimic that, move forward. So we end up with this situation where 70% of the wealth is invested into Australia. What we actually do by all trending towards what we've all done previously, whether we're all anchored, we're running from a status quo bias, that we're actually losing out. Because I'm pretty sure, without doing any research at all right now, that there are much better places and spaces that we could be investing, and that our wealth would be accumulating a lot faster if we were just prepared to step out and do it a little bit differently. As a marketer, the answer for me is pretty simple. You need a what's in it for me. And being money, not a particularly difficult sell if you can demonstrate to someone that they can literally have more as fast as can possibly be communicated to them in a way that actually starts to get them to think, well, hang on, maybe doing this instead of that would actually have me coming out in front, and that would help me get to my next goal of what I'd like to achieve. We love to keep up with the Joneses, so showing someone what they could have if they just did it this way instead of that way will actually be a very good way of actually moving people forward. One of the frequent things that is used across communications is what percentage of people are already doing this. So if 70% is going into Australia, that means 30% I'm assuming isn't. And so now we start to build that 30% up, demonstrating what effect's actually happening. And what Malcolm Gladwell calls a tipping point starts to kick in, because the more people understand that others like them are actually doing it, the more they start to change and do it, and the ripple effect is massive. It changes the way we operate. The recency bias becomes something that can hold all of us back. It's the past, it's what we were, and it was predicated at that point in time on big quarter-acre blocks that today have been sliced and diced so tight that today they're like 100 apartments in a larger space and frame, and there's actually no dirt underneath that property at all. So from a really simple investment standpoint, that means the one thing that used to grow in value actually can't keep growing anymore, and that today you're sitting on an asset that's just like a car, and it will depreciate over time because it's a building and they age, and that comes with costs. Some of how we all came to be in Australia is fundamentally different. We can look to Europe, we can look to other countries that have already gone through an entire development process that's changed away from property and owning and acquiring it to very different ways of being with money. And for us in Australia, I think a significant shift needs to kick in about what that looks like for our children, their children, and how should people actually move forward.